Navigating electrician licensing in Texas with out-of-state experience can present challenges, but several steps can be taken. Firstly, contact the Texas State Board of Electricians. Explain the situation, providing documentation of experience and licenses. Request a waiver or an alternative path to licensure. Secondly, seek support from professional organizations. Join organizations like the National Electrical Contractors Association or the Associated Builders and Contractors to network with electricians in Texas and find potential job opportunities. Thirdly, consider an apprenticeship. If a waiver is not granted, consider enrolling in an apprenticeship program in Texas to gain the required experience under a master electrician. Fourthly, explore other licensed positions. It is possible to qualify for other licensed positions in the electrical field, such as electrical inspector or project manager. Fifthly, focus on networking and job applications. Attend industry events, connect with employers on LinkedIn, and apply for jobs in Texas that match experience and qualifications. In addition, gather any documentation that supports experience, such as employment records, letters of recommendation, and project portfolios. It is also important to stay updated on the code. Familiarize yourself with the Texas Electrical Code and any other relevant codes or regulations. Consider a journeyman electrician exam in another state. Some states may have less stringent requirements for journeyman electrician licensure. Consider taking the exam in an alternative state and then applying for a reciprocal license in Texas. Contact local contractors. Reach out to electrical contractors in Texas to inquire about job opportunities and explore the possibility of working as a journeyman under their guidance. Raise awareness about the challenges faced by skilled electricians relocating to Texas by contacting media outlets or industry publications. Support organizations. Participate in organizations dedicated to promoting licensure reciprocity and streamlining regulations for skilled workers. Contact state legislators and advocate for changes to licensure requirements that facilitate the entry of qualified electricians into the Texas workforce. When documenting experience, detailed records can significantly strengthen the case. Collect employment contracts, pay stubs, and detailed descriptions of projects completed, highlighting specific skills used and responsibilities held. Letters of recommendation from previous employers, clients, or colleagues can vouch for expertise and work ethic. A portfolio showcasing completed projects, including photographs, diagrams, and any relevant documentation, can visually demonstrate skills and experience. It is important to understand the Texas Electrical Code. Obtain a copy of the current Texas Electrical Code, which is based on the National Electrical Code, and thoroughly review its requirements. Pay close attention to any Texas-specific amendments or interpretations. Consider enrolling in a continuing education course or workshop focused on the Texas Electrical Code to gain a deeper understanding of its provisions. Explore resources offered by the Texas State Board of Electricians, such as publications, training materials, and online resources, to stay informed about code updates and interpretations. Regarding journeyman electrician exams in other states, research the licensing requirements for journeyman electricians in neighboring states or states with less stringent requirements. Compare the requirements for education, experience, and examination to determine if it is feasible to obtain a license in another state. If it is possible to obtain a journeyman electrician license in another state, investigate the process for applying for a reciprocal license in Texas. Determine if Texas has reciprocity agreements with the other state and what documentation is required to apply for a reciprocal license. When contacting local contractors, create a targeted list of electrical contractors in Texas who specialize in residential, commercial, or industrial work, depending on your area of expertise. Prepare a resume and cover letter highlighting experience, skills, and qualifications. Emphasize the value that you can bring to their team, such as your ability to work independently, troubleshoot problems, and adhere to safety regulations. Network with contractors at industry events, trade shows, or local chapter meetings of professional organizations. Follow up with contractors after submitting an application or attending an event to express continued interest and inquire about potential job opportunities. Raising awareness about the issue can involve several strategies. Write a letter to the editor of a local newspaper or trade publication outlining the challenges faced by skilled electricians relocating to Texas and advocating for changes to licensure requirements. Contact local television or radio stations to share your story and raise awareness about the issue. Utilize social media platforms such as LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook to share information about the challenges faced by skilled electricians relocating to Texas and connect with other professionals in the industry. Participate in online forums or discussion groups related to electrical work and share experience and insights on the issue. Participate in organizations dedicated to promoting licensure reciprocity and streamlining regulations for skilled workers can provide valuable support and advocacy. Research organizations such as the Council on Licensure Enforcement and Regulation, the National Conference of State Legislatures, or the American Legislative Exchange Council, which focus on promoting interstate cooperation and reducing barriers to professional mobility. Join these organizations or participate in their events to connect with policymakers, regulators, and other stakeholders who are working to address licensure reciprocity issues. Support their efforts by donating to their causes, volunteering your time, or advocating for their policy recommendations. Contacting state legislators and advocating for changes to licensure requirements can be an effective way to influence policy and create a more favorable environment for skilled electricians relocating to Texas. Research the members of the Texas legislature who represent your district and identify those who serve on committees related to workforce development, economic development, or licensing. Write letters or emails to legislators expressing concerns about the challenges faced by skilled electricians relocating to Texas and advocating for changes to licensure requirements. Request a meeting with legislators or their staff to discuss the issue in more detail and share your personal story. Testify before legislative committees or participate in public hearings to provide input on proposed legislation related to licensure. One should consider taking the Master Electrician's exam. Even with experience not directly under a Master Electrician, the years of experience might compensate, especially with supporting documentation. The exam covers a broad range of electrical knowledge, and passing it could open doors. It would be wise to carefully review the eligibility requirements for the Master Electrician exam in Texas, and if there's any ambiguity or possibility of qualification based on combined experience and licenses, it's worth applying and making the case to the board. In the process of contacting the Texas State Board of Electricians, it is critical to be very organized and persistent. Maintain detailed records of all communication, including dates, names of contacts, and summaries of conversations. Once submitting documentation, ensure it is complete, accurate, and well organized. Follow up with the board regularly to check on the status of your application or request for a waiver. Be polite and professional in all interactions, but also be firm in advocating for qualifications and experience. Consider seeking legal counsel from an attorney who specializes in professional licensing matters. An attorney can provide guidance on navigating the legal and regulatory landscape and represent your interests before the board. When networking, leverage connections and build relationships. Attend industry conferences, trade shows, and local chapter meetings of professional organizations to meet other electricians, contractors, and industry professionals. Introduce yourself, share experience, and express interest in finding job opportunities in Texas. Join online forums and social media groups related to electrical work in Texas to connect with other professionals and stay informed about job openings and industry news. Reach out to contacts in network, such as former colleagues, classmates, or mentors, to ask for introductions or referrals to potential employers in Texas. Consider negotiating with potential employers to address the licensing issue. If a job offer is received but there are concerns about licensing, explore options for negotiating with the employer to address the issue. For example, the employer may be willing to sponsor participation in an apprenticeship program or provide additional training or supervision to meet the requirements for licensure. The employer may also be willing to hire in a different capacity initially, such as an electrical technician or project manager, while working towards obtaining a Texas electrician license. Be upfront and transparent with potential employers about licensing situation and work collaboratively to find a solution that meets everyone's needs. Continuous learning and professional development is important even when facing licensing challenges. Invest in continuing education courses, workshops, and seminars to enhance skills and knowledge in electrical work. Obtain certifications in specialized areas such as renewable energy, building automation, or fire alarm systems to demonstrate expertise and increase marketability. Stay up to date on the latest codes, standards, and technologies in the electrical industry by reading trade publications, attending industry events, and participating in online forums. Demonstrating a commitment to continuous learning and professional development can help overcome licensing challenges and demonstrate value to potential employers. Finally, do not get discouraged by the initial setbacks or challenges. Obtaining an electrician license in Texas with out-of-state experience may require persistence, patience, and creativity, but it is possible to overcome the obstacles and achieve your goals. Stay focused on long-term objectives, maintain a positive attitude, and continue to explore all available options. Seek support and encouragement from family, friends, and mentors, and celebrate small victories along the way. By persevering and remaining committed to your goals, you can achieve success in the electrical field in Texas. The Texas Electrical Code adheres closely to the National Electrical Code, but there are often state-specific amendments. These amendments can relate to permitting processes, inspection requirements, or specific wiring methods allowed or disallowed within the state. Therefore, a thorough understanding of both the NEC and the Texas amendments is crucial. The Texas State Board of Electricians provides resources that detail these amendments. This includes bulletins, code updates, and training materials. It is important to consult these resources regularly to stay informed of any changes. One area to pay attention to is the adoption cycle of the NEC. Texas adopts new editions of the NEC, but there is often a lag time between the publication of a new NEC edition and its adoption in Texas. During this transition period, electricians must be aware of which code edition is currently in effect. In terms of practical application, electricians should pay close attention to Chapter 3 of the NEC, which covers wiring methods and materials. This chapter outlines the requirements for different types of cables, conductors, and raceways. Texas may have specific restrictions or requirements for certain wiring methods based on local conditions or building types. Grounding and bonding is another critical area covered in Chapter 250 of the NEC. Proper grounding and bonding is essential for electrical safety and to prevent electrical shock hazards. Texas may have specific requirements for grounding electrode systems or bonding of metal enclosures. Overcurrent protection, as outlined in Chapter 240 of the NEC, is also essential for protecting electrical circuits from overloads and short circuits. Texas may have specific requirements for the selection and installation of overcurrent protective devices such as circuit breakers and fuses. Furthermore, the NEC contains numerous tables that are used to determine conductor ampacity, conduit fill, and other important parameters. These tables are based on specific conditions and assumptions. It is important to understand how to use these tables correctly and to account for any directing factors that may apply based on the installation environment. For example, Table 310.15b16 provides the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to 2000 volts, based on ambient temperature and number of current-carrying conductors in a raceway or cable. If the ambient temperature exceeds 30 degrees Celsius, or if there are more than 3 current-carrying conductors in a raceway, the ampacity must be derated according to the factors provided in Table 310.15b3. Conduit fill is another important consideration. The NEC specifies the maximum percentage of conduit cross-sectional area that can be occupied by conductors. These requirements are outlined in Chapter 9, Table 1. The allowable fill percentage depends on the number of conductors in the conduit and the type of conduit being used. It is important to ensure that the conduit is not overfilled, as this can lead to overheating and damage to the conductors. Voltage drop is another factor that must be considered in electrical installations. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction or operate inefficiently. The NEC recommends limiting voltage drop to 3% for branch circuits and 5% for feeders. The actual voltage drop can be calculated using Ohm's law and the conductor's resistance per unit length. The NEC also contains requirements for specific types of equipment and installations, such as hazardous locations, healthcare facilities, and swimming pools. These requirements are designed to address the unique hazards associated with these environments. In hazardous locations, for example, electrical equipment must be explosion-proof or intrinsically safe to prevent ignition of flammable gases or vapors. Healthcare facilities have stringent requirements for electrical systems to ensure the safety of patients and staff. Swimming pools have specific requirements for grounding and bonding to prevent electrical shock hazards.